Hey, everybody, how's it going? Happy Friday. You made it. You made it to the end of the week. Congratulations. My name's Jesse Montano. I'm going to be joined by the one and only Meghan Angley here in just a few moments. This is Guerilla Sports Off Ice. Woo, can you believe it, guys? We are at the quarter mark of the NHL season. Unbelievable that we are already here. And the Avs sitting at just one regulation loss. We are going to talk about the game last night. And we're just going to talk about where they're at 20 games into the season. As always, I want to start by reminding you guys about our great friends and our partners over at RefiJet. Did you know that you could refinance your auto loan? Well, with RefiJet, you could save around $150 every single month, all which is a soft credit pull and zero hassle, lower payments, flexible terms, maybe even some cash back in your pocket from your car's equity. And who couldn't use some cash back in their pocket this time of year? You guys hear me say it all the time. One of the best ways to support us and what we do here at Guerilla is by supporting our partners. So head on over refijet.com/sports. Take a look and see if they can't help you out a little bit, maybe help you save some money now around the holidays. What everybody needs, refijet.com/sports. It is the faster, easier way to refinance. Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show. Hey, everybody, welcome in. Jesse Montano, Meghan Angley, Guerilla Sports Off Ice Friday edition. No Avs game today. Optional practice. It's gloomy. It's overcast. It's kind of a chill day, and we're just a couple chill people here for a chill pod, Meghan.
Jay chillin'.
Just Jay chilling. How you doing this afternoon, Meghan? Friday afternoon.
I woke up and I can feel the magic of the holiday season in the air. And it's not just because we have this little Charlie Brown Christmas tree on set, thanks to John. I just feel the magic of the holiday season.
All right.
And it might be because Thanksgiving is next week, and that kind of marks the official beginning of all of the best time of year.
Yes.
And I'm in a great mood. That's the short version of it.
Should we do a Guerilla Sports Off Ice Santa Claus visit? I've wanted to go see Santa and get my picture taken as an adult for multiple years, and nobody will go with me.
I didn't know what that meant. So I was like, are we Santa? And we invite people to come tell us what they want for Christmas?
We could do that too.
Because I love the idea of if you could give the Avs one gift, what do they need?
Okay, so I'm seeing comments here in the chat for Pyramid.
Yes, Monday.
It's coming Monday. Meghan, I'm going to tell you preemptively an issue I have with this first pyramid we're going to do.
Everyone should be number one.
Not necessarily number one, but the pyramid was originally brought about for us to be able to heap praise onto those that deserved it and appropriately criticize either players that we want to see more out of or just straight up aren't doing their job. Meghan, we are 20 games into this season. And I don't think there's any players that fall into that category.
No, this will be a challenge of rewarding players that I think have surpassed expectation to start the year. And this has always been tough around players like Cale Makar, Nathan MacKinnon, who already have set a really high standard for themselves. Yes. And continue to meet it, continue to raise it. And so Nathan MacKinnon being impressive is probably weighted a bit differently from the start that Scott Wedgwood has had, the start that Sam Alinsky has had, because those should be weighted pretty highly too. But McKinnon's been very impressive. You also expect him to be kind of impressive. Anyways, we'll have a little bit of a challenge at the top of the pyramid. What will be most revealing is ultimately who doesn't make the pyramid.
Right.
And even then, to your point, in the past, it's been, I need to see more out of this guy who didn't make the pyramid this time around. I think players that are going to be left out of the pyramid, we're still probably happy with the hockey they've been playing, and they'll still get a shout out and honorable mention. But this is a unique situation. Usually those guys you're asking more of.
Well, and you usually, because I used to give you and Chloe a hard time last year because we'd have guys near the bottom of the pyramid.
You'd be like, this guy's doing really great.
Yeah. But again, my whole point with this is I wouldn't even be able to push back on that for the pyramid that we're about to do on Monday because the Avs have been that good top to bottom. I mean, I was going to say, yeah, are there guys you want to see more out of? I honestly don't even know if I can say that, Megan. I really don't know. Yeah.
Briefly, it was Brock Nelson who,
Right.
Since this is a 20-game segment, in the back half of the 20, I really liked Brock Nelson.
I've really liked. I'm totally with you. So I was thinking about that this morning. That this is going to be a funny pyramid.
There's going to be 2 pyramids, guys.
I mean, maybe we should add an honorable mentions, like official segment, because it's been that good for the Avs. It really has. All jokes aside, it's the top guys have been top guys.
Mm-hmm.
The depth has been everything they've needed it to be. And not just from a production standpoint. Jack Drury makes a great play last night on a back check to eventually set up a goal that if you don't rewind the replay far enough, you don't even notice. And he's out there with Nathan McKinnon, with Cale Makar, with Marty Netchis. Guys are just doing so much all over the ice. You can tell guys are bought in. You can tell there's a sense of belief. And look, we still got, 3/4 of the season to go. A lot can happen, but I don't know how you could draw up a much better first 25% of the season for the Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah, we've been in situations in discussing this team where there are players that were expected to maybe play a little bit above their usual role, and you're counting best case scenario as they can hang.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't really had to do that. Like Jack Drury at 3C is a little above where he's normally slotted in this Avs lineup, and he's handled it really well.
Mm-hmm.
I know that maybe the production aspect, you'd want to see a little bit more if he's making a case for full-time 3C role, but the little things that he does away from the puck defensively are so strong that I think it's a really important part of the identity of that line that has changed at points, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there have been points where it's Ross Colton there. It's now we've got Gabriel Landeskog in that line. And so I think it's very responsible and very hard to play against. And Jack Drury is a big part of that. This is very pyramid conversation as to why we'd celebrate Jack Drury's start to this season so far. But bigger picture, I think that everyone has really stepped up.
Yeah.
And so even guys that were maybe being asked to play above what they normally are, including Scott Wedgwood as a starter, have not only met that expectation, they've raised that bar in places and they've brought their A game every night. So it's brought a lot of the success that we're seeing. Like last night, I think was a classic game of the top guys being the top guys. I think that Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar being excellent is a lot of the reason that they're able to push back against New York, because I think New York brought a really strong game. But there have been other games through this point in the season where the contributions from the depth have been the reason that they've won. That's been the path back to winning. Goaltending has kept them in it and given them a chance to chase some of these comebacks that have sometimes led to the OT losses. Their stat line right now as a team is so funny with the one regulation loss, and we don't talk about overtime.
They are just the 4th team in NHL history, to reach the 20-game mark with just one regulation loss. Joining some pretty elite company, including a couple teams from the 30s, and then that lockout shortened just juggernaut of a Blackhawks team right in the middle of their run of 3 cups in 6 years. The Avs have put themselves in that conversation to start the season here. 14-1-5 for 33 points through 20 games. And it's starting for me to be reminiscent. I'm not going to say reminiscent of the 21-22 season because that was such a special year. But that Ranger game last night, I'm with you. I thought the Rangers brought a good game. I thought they had a good game plan. Really strong defensive team. My goodness, really strong defensive team. And it felt like that first period, the Avs kind of struggled to get to their game, to get to what they wanted it to look like. And it felt like the Rangers were again playing a good game, not to go overboard. Clock tips over into that second period, and the Avs just start to push. They start to push, and they start to lean on the Rangers and lean a little bit harder and lean a little bit harder. And by the end of that game, it just felt like it got to the point where the Rangers just couldn't hang with them anymore. And where I'm going with this is it's 4 lines. Jared Bednar right now feels like he's got 4 lines that he feels comfortable with, that he trusts. And when you can get through a game and not have to shorten your bench as much or as aggressively, it just starts to wear other teams down. And when you've got a third line that features Gabe Landeskog and, like you said, Jack Drury playing as well as he is, that just gets hard for teams to be able to roll with for 60 minutes. And I think that's a little bit of what you've seen here through these first 20 games is this is just a really tough team to hang with for 60 minutes. They're a tough group to match all 4 lines against, and their D pairings are strong enough that if you're on the other side, it feels like you're always a little bit at a disadvantage. And I think it's been really, really impressive. And it's a testament to the depth that you were just talking about, that Jared feels like he's got lines he can roll right now. And I feel like it's just wearing teams down over the course of 60 minutes.
I think I don't want to overinflate this too, but I think the Avs' depth has maybe been underestimated through this point, because I think every team understands the threat that Nathan MacKinnon and Cale Makar poses opposite them on the ice. But I think the depth of this team has maybe caught teams off guard. And so that's why there have been the plays that spring to mind are some that involve Sam Malinsky, because I don't know if people view him as the threat offensively from the blue line out, the way that Cale Makar is treated with that respect and even keyed in on and specifically contained because he is such a threat. And I think that's where, with some of the defensemen being able to get involved offensively, has come into play, with Brent Burns also being kind of a sneaky addition. His points production pace maybe throughout his career isn't an anomaly to see, but it's just another offensive threat then from the back end, outside of what Cale Makar and Devon Toews are. And then on the forward side, this is also where I think something like that third line has sneaky potential to catch teams off guard. I think everyone knows who Gabriel Landeskog is, so that part maybe isn't so much, but I think Jack Drury's defensive prowess, and then I really loved Victor Olofsson's game against the Islanders, and I've loved, honestly, how it's been building. I've loved other parts of his game, and I talked to Gabe about this line, and he described how they're all competitors, so it's a great starting off point. Like, they're building the chemistry to be able to create offensively the way that they would like, but in terms of what they're bringing as competitors, it makes them very hard to play against. And the thing that he shouted out Olofsson for specifically was his engagement, play away from the puck, because people were maybe a bit critical of what that looked like in his Buffalo era, but it was good with Vegas last year. So I think that Olofsson has continued on from the Vegas era of hockey, and it fits in super well. He's playing with guys who are very bought in that way. All this to say, don't want to go off on too much of a tangent. I think the depth of this team is part of its strength, because they definitely needed to lean on it last night in losing Brindley in that first period. And so I think that you look at the ice time, and there was maybe a lack of trust in the usage of some of the fourth line guys, but 1 through 3, they leaned on them pretty heavily. And I think the punchback of the Avs being able to tie things up, at least within the period, right? Like that Nathan MacKinnon goal at the end of the first, at least allows them to go into the second, like, all right, a clean slate. And they go down again at the start of the second period. So that Cale Makar goal that's born from that really great back check from Jack Drury helps them to punch back and stay in this one. And that's where I think in the third period, they just become too much for New York to handle, because you look at the process and what they were doing to try and create, and New York, to their credit, managing their lanes really well, blocking shots. It was over 26, I think, attempts blocked, in addition to everything they were putting on net. And that was getting sticks in lanes, bodies in lanes, making it really hard for the Avs to create, and they didn't get discouraged. And so I think that, full team effort on the attack to create the way that they liked without getting discouraged. I love the way Jared Bednar said they put the cute away. They
I love
adopted the workman mentality. Because when I think about the Avs power play in the Dallas series and how I think that they were doing everything they could to do the right things to create, and they just couldn't break through, they kind of have to be able to fight through it then, because they're going to be getting every team's defensive best in the playoffs. That's why I love this New York Rangers game, because that's kind of what they should expect, is they're going to, that margin for how tight teams play defensively and how much they try to contain Nathan MacKinnon and Cale Makar. It's going to look a lot like that. And there's still a path to winning, and it's going to rely on everyone, including Nathan MacKinnon and Cale Makar in a big way. But I think that's only made possible because of the depth in addition to, you look at Drury's role on the Cale Makar wraparound goal. And that's, it's like, wow, teamwork really does make the dream work.
The Avs don't have any lines that it feels like they're just trying to survive. We talked to Ross Colton at the very beginning of the year on the show. And that was one of the things that he said. He said, we don't want to be a line that just goes out there to hold on. We want to be generating. We want to be a threat. And it feels like, every guy is doing that. I wanted to go back to Olofsson and what you were talking about, because I agree with you, Megan. I was kind of just watching him, not last night, but the game before that. Every now and then, if there's a certain player that I'm kind of keying in on, I'll just watch a couple shifts where I only watch them. I don't really pay attention to where the puck is, or I watch what that player is doing and how they get involved and whatever. And he was someone that I was just watching and I said, I really like this guy. I really like this player. So many of the things that, like you alluded to, that people talked about, be disengaged. Oh, he doesn't get involved physically. He's not, doesn't work hard. I haven't seen any of that. And I believe you asked him a couple weeks ago about playing for a team like Vegas helped prepare him. And not that he was going to Vegas saying, oh, well, I need to get ready to go play for the Avalanche. But coming off of that season, and then coming to a team like this, I'm not trying to take a side swipe at the Buffalo Sabres. They don't need more people doing that. But look, you're going on almost 15 years in Buffalo of losing hockey. They've had high-end draft picks. They've had skilled, talented free agents. They've acquired players that were picked at the top of their draft. They've got 2 number 1 on their back end. They've got 3 top 5 picks. My point is, there's a culture problem in Buffalo. And I think it's no coincidence that you see players leave Buffalo and their game just pops. It explodes in other markets, other organizations. And I think the Avs are benefiting from a really skilled and talented player like Victor Olofsson, A, getting out of that, but B, making a pit stop in another organization that has the same expectations and aspirations as the Colorado Avalanche, holds their team to a really similar standard. So I think the Avs are the beneficiary of a player like Olofsson getting out of the Buffalo situation, but then going to a team where he can go through those. We talked to Casey Middlestat when he first got here. We've overheard other players talk about when you get to Colorado, it's like, whoa, these practices are more intense than the games I would play with, other organization X. I think Olofsson got to get that kind of culture shock out of his system. He understands what it takes. Now he's just here focusing on what he needs to do. I think the message is resonating from Jared Bednar. And I think Victor Olofsson is seeing the reward for his hard work playing power play one with Cale Makar, Nathan MacKinnon. And I couldn't be happier with what the Avs have gotten out of Victor Olofsson, especially when you consider so many of the caveats that came with him, from the rumors before he actually played a game for the Avs.
Yeah, I've seen a player that has been more and more, as we go on here, engaged on the forecheck. I always am cautious to say that it's not that he's this hulking physical presence, but he's committed. And so that MacKinnon goal that helps to tie it, at least late in that first period, is because MacKinnon chips that puck in and knows that Olofsson can beat out two other New York Rangers players to skate to the puck in the offensive zone. And he does. He gets there first.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's those little things too, because then to set up this play, this is the one where you've got Olofsson angling his stick blade at the net front to MacKinnon opposite him, ultimately is where this play ends up. And it was so high skilled then. And this isn't the first play like this too, where Olofsson has had to, in this case, he's had to assert himself in getting to the net front and making himself available there and getting his stick in just the right place. But I'm thinking back to that Malinsky setup from the point where Olofsson angles his stick blade just perfectly. It's such a high skill play. And I think this MacKinnon goal, very high skill, then the double deflection there to get this goal and beat a good goaltender, because that's what it came down to. Shesterkin was playing great. And so it took some high skill plays to beat Shesterkin like this. And so that play is made possible because you have a complementary high skill player in Olofsson to help get MacKinnon the puck. And so not only is he committed to winning that race for the puck, which is ultimately important to gain possession to start this play, he's at the net front, establishing himself there, asserting himself there. There's just a lot to like about Olofsson, because that high skill has become and proven to be very important. I think what he offers on the power play too, with the shooting instinct, is so important, because sometimes you do see the Avs with that instinct to want to get cute. I like that Olofsson keeps it simple, and he oftentimes opts just to take the shot.
Yeah, and you and I have talked about that both on this show, and just privately in the press box, of the Avs need more guys that just want to put the puck to the net. There's such great playmaking ability, and you have such skilled players that, like, they see the lanes, they see the cross and drops and all that stuff. Sometimes you just need a guy who's going to get it on his stick and just rip it towards the net. And I think Victor Olofsson, I'm with you. I think he does just that. Sam Malinsky. We have not been shy about on this show talking about how much we like Sam Malinsky and what he does, what he provides to this group. I want to say in a sneaky way, but I think it's becoming less and less sneaky. Like, I think he's just becoming highly impactful on the back end. But he's involved every night. And if it's not from a production standpoint, he's doing something right in his own end. He's making a good, breakout pass. He's killing a penalty. He's making a good read. One, I am in the camp of, hey, you're getting a lot of these extensions done. I think maybe Jack Drury might be coming next. Is Sam Malinsky one that you need to look at and say, he's a UFA at the end of the season, probably be good for us to tack a couple more years onto this while we still can. Could not be more impressed with what Sam Malinsky's doing right now.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's where, the contract being just 1 year, walking him to free agency was intriguing to me. And they signed Brent Burns, and I'm like, interesting. I wonder if they just kind of want to see how Malinsky follows up the year he had last year, because I think he had a really strong training camp. There was a little bit of that stagnant period around November, December, if I'm not mistaken. And he came out of that, and out of that Four Nations break in particular, playing really strong, really confidently, and carried a lot of that into the playoffs. And those were his first playoffs too.
Mhm.
So I think that he handled that responsibility really well, but was on a bit of a short leash too, because it was his first playoffs. I think he's just made a really strong case for himself with having another strong training camp and sustaining these results, playing with that confidence that only seems to be building each game.
Yep.
And so he's getting rewarded with more minutes, some more reps on the kill. And I think him feeling more involved in the game in that way is leading to some of that confidence and those results that we're seeing. All that to say, I'm highly in favor of an extension.
Mhm.
I just wonder if, like, I don't know where that breakdown was then and who didn't trust who, like who maybe, all that to say, it would make so much sense for the organization, because in the same way that they've given this vote of confidence to Gavin Brindley, I view it very similarly. He's not as conventional a prospect, but there is upside in committing to a player like this, especially in what he can add to the right side for the future of this organization, where they'll need to bolster it, right? Like, what comes next after Brent Burns?
Yep.
And how does this Josh Manson contract extension age? And, you know, as Devon Taves continues to get older, are they going to want to lean on then a puck moving defenseman with a high IQ who can make good reads in his own end? I think, you know, some of the stick plays defensively that I've seen out of Malinsky in his own end here lately remind me a lot of Taves in that sense. It's very not panicked, very calm ways of shutting plays down, and breaking out the puck in a very simple but effective way. And where I'm going with this is, it makes a lot of sense for the Avs to invest in this as part of their future. I'm just, you know, not sure, like on the Malinsky side of it, what his own wants and needs would be.
And that's where I think you need to look at what, if you're Chris McFarland, the Avs front office, you need to look at what Sam Malinsky is doing. And you know, Megan, like I was laughing in the press box a few days ago, and I don't know, maybe I even said it on the show, but like everyone always talks about, like, you need young players, right? You need young players who are effective, that can give you quality minutes on the cheap, right? That's what everyone says, even for contending teams. You need to have those draft picks so that you can get those young players into your lineup, because that's how you really round out the depth, is by having good, cheap, young players. Well, I was kind of making the joke the other day saying, like, the position the Avs are in right now is what fuels my desire for them to trade every draft pick, is because of a guy like Gavin Brindley, because of a guy like Sam Malinsky. You know, you could even make the argument for Bardakov. But like, there's other ways to get quality young players into your lineup that have a future in your organization. And I'm looking at Sam Malinsky and I'm saying, yeah, Sam Malinsky does have to want to be here, and he does have to want to see, you know, he has to see a role and a future for him. And that's where I think the Avs need to start going to Sam and saying, okay, we wanted to see not only how this went, how you felt, whatever. Not only do we feel comfortable with it now, not only do we see what you can be, we want to help paint the picture for what we think this could look like. You look at what Brent Burns is doing, the minutes he's eating, the reps he's getting, ozone starts, you know, killing penalties, you know, he gets power play reps. I think that's a little bit of what the Avs need to start telling Sam Malinsky, like, we think you could do this. And we think you could fill this role, you know, with the ceiling of being a second pairing type guy. And he's starting to get more trust. And you know, his underlying numbers are fantastic. Jared Bednar's, you know, speaking increasingly higher and higher of what he gets out of Sam Malinsky on a nightly basis. Like, I think you need to start having the conversation internally and with Sam's camp of, this isn't just a, hey, it's a good young player, we like to have around. No, this is a guy that you maybe need to start looking at seriously as has the potential to be a key fixture on your back end. If he continues to improve like this, you are looking at a future second pairing right-handed shot that plays the way you want to play, is responsible in his own end, which is what Jared Bednar, I asked Jared about the production, and he immediately responded with, well, what about what he's doing in our end? I think you need to start having a more serious conversation about not only who Sam Malinski currently is, but the potential track that he's on for having an impact on your organization larger than utility third pairing guy.
Well, it's only second full-time year in the
Yes.
NHL. So you measure the growth in that time, and that's something you use as part of the projection, right? And then similarly, he had moments last year where he played in a second pair role. And so I think what's tough is with the way, Manson and Burns are playing, that opportunity isn't as easily there to see what he's like with some of these more elevated matchups. But that's kind of the next piece of the puzzle, is to revisit that as necessary, as appropriate throughout the season, to see how Malinski handles then the more elevated matchups, the more elevated minutes. Because I think really what it'll boil down to is what incentivizes Malinski in this situation. And I think if you come correctly as, the Avs front office with real stability and trust and a real offer that says, we believe in you and your future fit in this organization, that suddenly does sound very enticing. And so this, this 1-year deal to walk into free agency does not communicate that. But if they start talking term, that does. And that's the difference, I think, in my eyes, is if the Avs come to him, they have to come correctly. And it has to be with a little bit more commitment, a little more skin in the game.
And you know what? I think it's one of those things. I understood why the Avs did it.
Totally. It was his first full season NHL.
And it was real. I'm not even gonna say up and down. I think it was down and then up.
And that down, it just was more of a stagnation from what was such a good place to start from camp.
Yep. And it just, he maybe lost some of that trust, lost some of the goodwill that he was building. I just, they're voluntarily playing him in more aggressive spots now.
I think he's forcing them too.
I agree. I completely agree. I think there's an argument to be made that at times, over the past couple seasons, that Sam Malinski's maybe gotten some looks that, out of necessity with injuries and things like that. This is not what's happening right now. That back end is healthy, and Sam Malinski is forcing their hand into giving him more minutes, giving him better starts, ozone starts, things like that. More special teams time. And I just think that Brent Burns is 40. There's far from a guarantee that he'll be back next year. And if he is, it's not even guaranteed to be with the Avs. Josh Manson, yes, he got that extension, but he's a player that's already, a little bit older for hockey, for NHL standards. He's got the injury problems. I think that if it's me, I'm looking at Sam Malinski and saying, yeah, it's my second pairing right shot D next year.
And you just reconfigure, because I think the role that Girard has played on a second pairing is you're just switching the sides as to where it's being represented. But I think that this also kind of puts a question mark around Girard's future fit, who I think serves an important role. But if you can get that represented in what Malinski brings, then this sort of changes the complexion of what that second pair could be. Because to be fair, a lot of the second pair Malinski we've seen has been alongside Girard. That might not be my ideal pairing, to be honest with you. I think it's a little bit too same. And so when I'm imagining a second pair role for Malinski, his D partner is a little bit different.
I completely agree. RE, the Girard replacement, one, that's been something you and I have talked about for a while, that like, hey, if you can get some offensive upside out of Sam Malinski and his D zone can be solid, that might actually finally give you someone in place of Sam Girard. Not to mention, the Avs have this season plus one more of Sam Girard at $5 million, which is a very good value deal.
Yeah.
It's a very good value deal for a second pairing defenseman. Can you get Sam Malinski at a number around that, or maybe even a little bit less with some term on it? And now suddenly you're getting cheaper at that second pairing. Again, I don't know, with where the market is gone. I'm not going to confidently predict anything for contracts right now. But that's just something else to keep in mind, that like, hey, let's say you got Sam Malinski, and I'm completely making this up, 5x5. Okay, well, there's your Sam Girard replacement. Like, set and forget. He's not a lefty, but yeah, you can start to reconfigure how you look at that second pairing, and especially with the way that Jared Bednar uses these pairings and deploys them all jumbled. You know, you kind of worry about that later, but I'm of the opinion that you're watching what Sam Malinsky's doing, and I'm saying, yeah, I don't think you let this go on too much longer.
I don't like to pit my divas against each other, but when you talk about what it is that Girard brings, one, I think that he doesn't get enough credit for what he does on the penalty kill to help eat up some of those minutes. But from the production standpoint, that's actually been the part of Girard's game that has constantly left us wanting more.
100%.
And when you just look at the point production pace side by side, I'm not saying Sam Malinsky stays at above a half a point per game pace the whole season through, but I mean, even his track record, like in those first 23 games he got in his rookie season, his points production pace is intriguing.
Yeah.
And it's more than Girard is where I'm going with this. So if you're actually talking about a Girard replacement, you've got a guy who's producing a little more consistently, and it's a smaller sample size, but he's doing it more readily. It's interesting then. So you're getting the production aspect that's being satisfied. If you can get Malinsky to build up the reps to a place of comfort to where we are at with Girard on the PK, then that's not just a Girard replacement. That's a better one.
Right. It's Girard upgrade. Sam Girard 3 times in his career has reached 5 goals or more, 5 twice, and 6 once. Sam Malinsky, I'm sorry, I misread this for a second. I thought I was going to say, I almost said he's already done it twice. In 23 games in his first taste of NHL action, 3 goals. Last year, 5 goals. And this year, 1 already, on pace for 45 points. I also just think that, like...
Sorry, and the other thing I was going to add is in more limited minutes. Girard has been producing at this clip, because I'm basing it on pace, not on number of games played, with the second pair minutes. Now, the quality of matchups is maybe part of that conversation too, but in more limited minutes, Malinsky is outproducing the pace of Girard.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's significant.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, just like Sam Malinsky's got a real threat of a shot from out high. He's got a heavy one-timer. I look at what Sam Malinsky's doing right now. And hey, look, I've been a massive defender of Sam Girard in his time here.
I don't want to pit the divas against each other.
Right. And I'm not, this isn't me saying, oh, it's time for Sam Girard to go. I'm just saying that, hey, if you're actually wanting to have that conversation and you're looking down the road saying, well, either losing Sam Girard or he's going to get more expensive on that next deal, I think you are looking in-house saying we might have a potential upgrade in a guy like Sam Malinsky, who's doing everything that you could ask and more right now.
And not to be dramatic, but the power play finally scores a goal, and it was born from bad circumstance. Like, Makar is hurt, and so he's on the bench smarting for a little bit. So that first power play unit goes out with Taves. That second unit comes on. Brent Burns is briefly on the ice. They switch it out, and Malinsky comes on, and Brock Nelson scores immediately. Is Cale Makar the problem? I'm just kidding. Obviously just kidding. But I did think that was kind of funny for me. Like, well, the power play works when you put Malinsky on it. So no notes.
I mean, and that's just, again, and Jared finally said it. So it doesn't have to just be me having to put all these asterisks on why I compare Sam Malinsky to Cale Makar. But, Jared finally said, like, he's got a little bit of that Cale. So, like, again, I look at Sam Malinsky. I said, this guy is someone who is already, to a much smaller extent, doing a lot of this for you, but has the ability to be, again, a diet Cale Makar light that can kill penalties, that can play on the power play, that can quarterback an offense, can be strong in his own end. He can do a lot of it for you. He's just that couple tiers down from a player like Cale, who I think is on track to go down as the greatest defenseman ever.
Yeah.
Sam Malinsky can do a lot of those same things, just at a not greatest defenseman of all time clip.
I haven't engaged with the chat enough here, but I think there's a question about an update on Brindley, and you kind of got a little bit of an update.
Yes. So he is Gavin Brindley is still getting testing today. He's not going on the trip, but he we saw him leaving the building last night. Looked more or less okay, but still being evaluated today. They did make a call up. He's not going on the trip, so Gavin won't play in either of the games this weekend. But kind of seemed similar to Val, where it's not nothing, but it's also not something terrible that should keep him out for a long time.
Yeah, Val included on the ice this morning, right?
Yes, Val
That's
was
huge.
out there with Popovich, Mark Popovich, skills coach, was out there for a long time.
Great
Good
news.
30 to 40 minutes, getting in hard, heavy skating reps. Super optional practice. I think 4 guys total, including 1 goalie. So, not a ton of game-like scenarios out there, but just good to see Val on the skates out there, getting involved, putting in reps.
Someone had earlier asked about Jason Polin, who was the player that was recalled. Yep. Now that Brindley has also been hurt, this is really getting sad, you guys. Excited for Jason Polin, though. He is such a responsible defensive player. He's a great defensive stick, so he's one of my favorite guys as a PK forward for the Eagles PK. So honestly, just a really responsible player. And his goal scoring hasn't quite translated at the pro level, but it is an aspect of his game in that he likes to assert himself at the net front, and try for tip in, redirect goals from there. So that's kind of the expectation, is he'll be a very good Jared Bednar type guy, and very responsible. So I am not sure, exactly how that bottom 9 picture will come together for these road games, but Jason Polin is very responsible, so he should not be a liability.
Yeah, no, he someone referred to him today as a rookie, in when we were talking, and everyone was like, is he? I don't really know if he is, because he's an older player, he's a little bit more mature, he's had a few years of pro. So no, we were just kind of laughing. But like you said, that's a you could tell that was a call up from Jared, because Tristan Nielsen was at practice today, still hanging around after last night, and you can tell that was a we're gonna have a couple guys in the lineup now. Let's get one of our more veteran, more responsible,
trusted, because Daniel Gushin is hurt, and so there's some other high octane offense guys like Barre Boulet. But I think they just wanted a guy who's gonna fill a depth role really responsibly without Jared needing to supervise too much. So Jason Polin would be a great fit for that.
We got a super chat here. Ooh, super chat, green light, super chat. Ooh, I don't celebrate holidays. This is from Vaguely Sober, of course.
Vaguely Stats.
I
know, it's still Vaguely Sober in my brain.
It sure is. But I will celebrate 10,000 subs for GS. It was 9K 3 weeks ago, halfway to 10,000. I just went and looked. Yes, we are currently sitting at 9,595.
Wow.
405 subs away from the 10K mark. Help us get there. I'd love for us to get there before Thanksgiving. I don't know if that's too ambitious, but I just, the support has been unbelievable. Just watching those numbers tick up and up and up. It's been great. So thank you guys all so much. Do want to recommend, I actually tweeted about it right before the show. Kyle Keefe was on with Tom Green this week on the other Tom Green show. Tom Green, have you listened? I know you've listened to some of it. Have you listened to
I've not listened to the full thing yet.
Tom is outstanding as a podcast host. He's so good. I could just sit and talk to Tom Green all day. He's great. Kyle's obviously great. If you haven't caught any of Tom Green's new podcast, I highly recommend it. Like I said, it's just a great listen. He's had some great guests on, and Kyle Keefe is on this week, and we all love Kyle. He's always great to be around.
He's hilarious.
And then big shout out. It's the other show that Tom is on here at Guerilla Sports. After the Horn, Woody Page, Ron Zappolo, Tom Green, 3 cool enough names as it is. They had John Elway in here this week, Megan. That was pretty sweet to have John Elway in the Guerilla Sports studios. Just a a couple of great shows that we're really lucky to have be part of our network that are doing really well. And the conversation and the guests and all that stuff have been fantastic. So I just highly encourage folks, like we've got a lot of really exciting stuff going on here. Make sure you're checking those podcasts out as well. Because they're great. And we're lucky to have them. We picked up a subscriber since I refreshed this. How about that? There we go. Thank you to whoever that was. All right, Megan, we're going to round it out with this. It's the guy everybody's talking about. And it's the guy everybody wants to talk about. It's the guy everybody wants to talk to. And what he's done, I think, has exceeded everybody's expectation, likely including his own. And I get the controversy that surrounds it a bit. But when you have a player that is playing the way Scott Wedgwood is, you don't go away from that. And I'd be willing to bet you that Mackenzie Blackwood feels the same way. 12 wins on the season to lead the league. He's inside the top 5 for save percentage. He's inside the top 10 for goals against. He's inside the top 15 for high danger save percentage. Scott Wedgwood has been everything that the Avs could have possibly asked for out of him, given the circumstance of Mackenzie Blackwood starting the season on the shelf, and way, way more. I don't know what else you can say about Scott Wedgwood at this point, but the battle, the compete, his love of the game, his willingness just to, be one of the guys and be part of the group. It's had a palpable impact on this locker room. And if and when he eventually does come back to earth a little bit, one, I don't think his game is going to dip all that much. I think he's going to continue to give you really solid minutes. And you're going to have a really strong tandem in him and Mackenzie Blackwood. But just 20 games in, what can you say for Scott Wedgwood?
Yeah, I think it continues to be so impressive to go from the rhythm of backup goaltender, being ready, staying ready for games when called upon, and knowing that workload is going to be, 20 to 30 games, maybe at the high end, to starting, you're running 16 games out the gate and you're giving your team a chance to win on a nightly basis. I think that switch to the rhythm of a starter is probably a big ask on a goaltender. And he kind of alluded to some of the prep that he put in this offseason, knowing that Mackenzie Blackwood was going to miss some time at the start, just in preparation of then staying ready for the physical demand of a starting goaltender rhythm. And so I want to give him so much credit then for getting ready for that. I won't say, quickly or short notice, and then meeting that expectation, delivering on that just because of the physical toll. And that's why I think for Mackenzie Blackwood, it is taking a little bit to get brought up to game speed. It is just such a high demand physically to be a starting goaltender. And so for Scott Wedgwood to meet that ask and be playing as well as he is, because goaltending isn't perfection. And so what he does consistently is give his team a chance to win. Like even last night, you had made mention this probably won't go down on paper as one of Scott Wedgwood's best gains, but he was coming up with timely saves.
Yeah.
And you even look at the expected goals against number, and it still doesn't paint the most favorable picture, but it's why the eye test is so important, because sometimes the measure of what is a high danger save and what is a high danger chance, a medium danger chance, it doesn't always give you the best idea of what's happening on the ice. And so I think on the whole, like the rush coverage for the Avs, though it wasn't as if they were giving up odd man rushes every shift, they were really dangerous when they were given up. And so we're going with this too. You see the push from New York last night in particular. They're trying to claw back into the win column and continue to build good momentum on the road. It was a really important game for New York from a morale standpoint to try and fight. And that's why you saw the pushback that you did. All that to say, I think Scott Wedgwood coming up with the timely saves, not just inside this New York game, but through these 20 games now to start the year, is one reason I like him so much as a goaltender. He is such a competitor. And you see that then, sometimes it looks a bit scrambly to the eye too, but it's because he's going to give 100% effort. And more importantly, I think his teammates know that, and they feel a sense of relief then. And there have even been moments where, like, I recall play where McKinnon was a little slow coming back, because I think he had so much trust in Scott Wedgwood to make the save that I think there are observable differences in how this team plays in front of him because they do trust him. And that is based on everything I just said, how competitive he is on a nightly basis.
Well, and you never want to feel like, anybody's quitting on you or doesn't care or
blaming you.
Right. And, you just, when we talked to Scott after the game, I can't remember what it was recently, and he was talking about, hey, even when things don't quite go right, everybody out there is taking the blame on themselves. Hey, that's my bad, man. No, that was me. I should have. And you sit there and you think back on last year. We don't need to say names.
That was a real cough. That was a real cough.
We don't need to say names, but you think back last year, and let's even forget the blaming. Stick slamming, firing pucks down the ice, the literal stomping, cracking your stick over the post. That's not very calming. That does not instill a lot of confidence. And I just think that the players on this Avs team see how hard he's willing to compete. They want to compete for him. And then they see the fact that he doesn't point a single finger. And I don't think Mackenzie Blackwood does either.
No. They work together as a tandem so well because of this.
And I just think that makes the players on the team want to battle that much harder. In the same light of the whole like, hey, I'm Nathan McKinnon. If I can work this hard off the ice, there's no excuse for you. I think it's a similar thing. Hey, if our goalie is rolling around on the ice, just trying to find and compete for a puck, you can lay out and give that little bit of an extra effort to get the puck cleared on a PK. And I just think it's infectious, and it's I lost the word there. It's correlated to the culture and the way that this group goes about its business.
Yeah, I like Lynn. I might not be saying your whole username right. I think it's Lynn. I think everyone has confidence in each other. That comment.
Mm-hmm.
And that is elevating everyone's game. I think that's true because I talked to Cale Makar about the success of the penalty kill, and that's ultimately what it is. What I like too is there's so much trust in each other and they're able to anticipate each other very well. And that's even with kind of changing personnel on the PK at times.
Yeah.
And so to have that full team-wide trust in each other is a testament to the chemistry of this team too, the closeness of this group. And not to go off on too much of a tangent, we already went here, but the significance of having the children on the ice.
This
is a really close bunch. I won't go off on that too much. And it was just really sweet and wholesome to see that.
Thought about asking Jared about that a little bit.
To clarify, I don't mean Gavin Brindley.
Oh man, here we go. Hit that super chat. Mike Peterson back in the super chat. $5. Wedgie's the only player that has been on the podcast. Am I right? You might want to take some credit for his play.
Ross kind of. Ross, but he's playing great.
Ross was definitely on the pod. So we've had Scott and Ross properly on the pod.
Yeah.
And Gavin.
Oh.
Yeah, and Gavin.
Well, now he's hurt.
Hey,
but he's playing so well, you guys.
Really well. Just double checking this text from Vaguely. Oh, nice is just Sam stats.
Gabe beat up his kid.
He did. Just cold as hell. All right, Megan, anything else? Any final thoughts for today, for this Friday?
I just looked through my notes. Oh, Brock Nelson's heating up. We could talk about him on the pyramid.
Brock Nelson is heating up. He is heating up. That's going to do it, folks. Want to remind you guys about our friends over at RefiJet. Honestly, guys, it's an outstanding company with great people who are literally out to help save you money. That's the whole point of what they do. They're there to help you save money and lower your stress a bit. Get that payment lower. get some cash back in your pocket every single month. And really, guys, we so appreciate. Again, I'm sitting here literally as we're talking, watching our YouTube subscribers tick up. We are at 9,600 on the money. So we picked up 5 in the last 8 minutes. The support you guys give us is incredible. And especially as we are a week out from Thanksgiving, we're going to be talking so much about how thankful we are for you guys. And just, this is always a time of year where I, look back and reflect. And we've been at this for almost 3 full years now with Guerilla, and what we've done has been so incredible. And it's all a huge testament to you guys, the supporters, our people who tune in and watch the shows, watch the content, like and subscribe and all that stuff. And we just so appreciate it. And like I said, the best way to support us and to help make sure that we can keep doing this is to show some love to our partners. So please, it helps us more than you guys would ever know. Go to refijet.com/sports. Just check it out. See what they're about, who they are as a company, some of the testimonials on there. And while you're there, if you think, hey, maybe they can help you save some money, it's literally, no hassle for you, soft credit pull, and they can help you save some money every single month, about $150. And they can maybe even put some cash back in your pocket if your car is eligible. RefiJet.com/sports. It's the best way to help us and support us here at Guerilla. That's going to do it. She's Megan. I'm Jesse. We got John behind the glass today. Want to give a big shout out to John. He's been doing a lot of the cutting on the shows, especially recently with Chloe gone. Want to give a huge shout out to our girl, Ashley, who has helped make sure that everything has stayed on the rails for us the last couple weeks. And I know Mark doesn't like us to talk about him. What?
Blake was calling for you.
I know Mark doesn't like us to talk about him too much, so we'll keep it brief. But I want to give a huge shout out to Mark. The dude works his tail off, and got this big documentary he's been working on finished. I actually just got a text with the final cut of it for me to watch.
He's awake?
He's awake.
Oh,
he's awake.
He should be sleeping.
And he's hoping to submit it to a film festival later this year. But so big shout out to Mark, and a shout out to Blake just for being Blake, just because.
Thanks for being you.
That's going to do it, guys. She's Megan. I'm Jesse. Guerilla Sports Off Ice. A couple back-to-back games for the Avs this weekend, so we'll have some post-game content coming your way. But otherwise, enjoy your weekend, guys. We'll be back at it. Another episode of Guerilla Sports Off Ice on Monday. Enjoy your weekend. Stay warm. Stay safe. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye.